Good morning to all of you. Morning Akash. Good morning Bipin. Good morning Sakshi. Am I audible? Okay. Audio video all clear? Right. A few new students have joined today. So we are going to start a new topic in this modern Indian history theme, that is economic policies and economic impact of British rule in India. Right. We already have discussed one part, that was India in 18th century, and there we have already discussed about the advent of Europeans in India. We have discussed about the decline of the Mughal power in India, and we have already discussed about the rise of regional states in the 18th century when Mughal power was declining. And now we are on our chapter number 2, that is economic policies and economic impact of British rule in India. Clear? Those students who are new, they can watch lecture number 1 to lecture number 5 on our YouTube channel, right? Okay, so you can start from there. Now keep yourself muted please. आप mute रखिए खुद को. Akash, are you asking something? Okay, questions or the doubt, right? So now we are going to start the class, and this is the topic economic policies and economic impact of British rule in India. Okay, so before we study this chapter, we first need to know that what is the importance of this chapter. That is the most important thing, right? What is the importance of the chapter? We must know that there was a foreign rule in India, company rule in India, British rule in India, and they ruled for almost 200 years, okay, from 1757 to 1947. And the main purpose of this rule was what? Okay, to ensure the economic exploitation of India, because India was a colony at that time, okay. So we need to understand what is the basic purpose of studying this chapter, right? So the basic purpose of studying this chapter is to understand the colonial intervention, right? The basic purpose is to understand the colonial intervention. What is colonial intervention? EIC's rule in India was colonial intervention, right? 1757 to 1858 was the colonial intervention. British Crown rule in India was the colonial intervention. It means 1858 to 1947. This was what? Colonial intervention. Clear? Now, one student asked me a question last day, okay, that it was a question of SSC exam or kahin pucha gaya tha, that when British rule was established in India, what will be your answer? 1757 or 1858? Just write answer in your chat box. 1757 or 1858, what will you consider? Actually, these questions, okay, are subject of historical debates. Many historians consider that 1757 is the beginning of British rule in India, because here British rule in India was in its indirect form. Very good. Okay. Many historians consider that the British Crown rule in India should be considered as the colonial rule. Okay. तो जो 1858 मानते हैं उनमें ज़्यादातर लोग कौन से होंगे? They must be the colonial historians. So majority of the historians have opinion that the British rule in India started in 1757. This is the opinion of majority of historians. So we can go with this fact. Is it clear? That is the colonial intervention. Okay. So to understand the colonial intervention, not just as promoting or obstructing economic growth. देखो यहाँ पे एक debate है that colonial intervention was doing what? It was promoting economic growth of India or obstructing economic growth of India. जितने टॉपिक हम पढ़ने जा रहे हैं, in all these topics we need to explore this debate. For example, you all know the name of the Clive. Clive का नाम आपने सुना है. Now suppose UPSC ask a question that in what do you think, in your opinion, Clive was a hero or a villain? Discuss. तो क्या होगा? Until unless you don't understand the story, you don't understand the history, okay, in a different manner, you will not be able to answer this question. And once I will finish this chapter, you can answer the questions like this very easily. For example, if I ask you that Do you consider the Clive was, okay, some people consider Clive as Lord Vulture, Vulture, tyrant of Madras. Do you agree with this fact? तो देखो कितने मतलब these all are the opinion based question and UPSC exam is all about your opinions. ठीक है, मेरी बात समझ गया ना? So we need to know the facts also. We need to know land revenue policies also. Okay, we need to know facts and informations also, but at the same time we need to discuss the debates also. Okay, पता होना चाहिए ना? For example, what Clive did, we must know all these facts. Plus we must discuss that when Clive was, okay, the governor, okay, so in his rule there was economic prosperity or policies obstructed economic growth. So it's all in this colonial phase we will try to explore that the colonial intervention was doing what. Was it promoting economic growth or was it obstructing economic growth? Can we say in an abstract form? Yes or no? देखो बैलेंस करना पड़ेगा. For example, development of railways, उसका फायदा मिला ना, we got the benefits. ठीक है, but what was the ultimate purpose? We need to understand. In this chapter we will discuss everything, and this chapter is very interesting, one of the most interesting chapters in the modern Indian history, and but as affecting broader ways of life and the material reproduction of the society. It means the colonial intervention or colonial rule, it did what? It affected broader ways of life, and it also had the effect on the material reproduction of the society. We will discuss how. Okay, now this chapter, what we see here is that this chapter, economic policy, economic impact of British rule in India, is what? It is a battleground of historiography. Kitna आसान है? It's a battleground of historiography. And look at the question papers in UPSC. UPSC in mains have asked several questions from this chapter. It's a battleground of historiography. Why we are saying that battleground of historiography? कुछ लोग कहेंगे, some people will say that economic policies were good. Okay, British rule in India brought economic prosperity, and some will say that बेवकूफ मत बनाओ यार, ऐसा नहीं था. Okay, the ultimate objective was something else. So it is a battleground of historiography with little agreed between historians either of interpretation of the fact. It means there are two group of historians who generally discuss all these ideas. First I will discuss some perspective. ठीक है, अभी घबराना नहीं है. Then I will enter into the topic and I will discuss land revenue policy, each and everything in detail. Facts also I will discuss in detail, but first we need to develop some ideas in our mind. कि पढ़ते वक्त we can use those ideas. Okay, so first I am coming to discuss some ideas with you. Then I will enter into the topic. It will be easier for you. Now, what you have learned here, 2 points. Point 1, economic policies of British in India were doing what? They were promoting economic growth or they were obstructing economic growth. This we need to explore. What is the second point? That the economic policies and their impact on India is a battleground of historiography. It means historians' opinion are divided. One group of historians will say that अच्छा था British rule. One group of historians will say that बुरा था British rule. Right? One group of historians will say that it promoted economic growth. One group of historians say that okay, the economic prosperity of India declined during the rule of the British. Okay, these are the two takeaways, important takeaways from this point. Now the third point. Now there are three viewpoints I will discuss with you in more simple words. One group of viewpoint is colonial viewpoint. One group of viewpoint is nationalist historians viewpoint. And the third group of viewpoint is Marxist historian viewpoint. And what you will do? Keep writing important points. ठीक है? पूरी ग्रंथ नहीं लिखनी है. Okay? That's why I never share PPTs. ऐसा नहीं कि मैं नहीं चाहता कि आपका selection ना हो. You must, okay, leave this habit of collecting a lot of things. उसको हटाना है. Keywords लिखा करो, right? Keywords, so that you could relate the things. Okay, don't write the entire story. Now colonial viewpoint. So there are three viewpoints here, and on the basis of these viewpoints I will discuss this entire chapter. One viewpoint is the colonial viewpoint, right? And the second viewpoint is nationalist viewpoint, nationalist historians viewpoint, and the third viewpoint is Marxist historians viewpoint, right? Marxist historians viewpoint. So we'll discuss this chapter with these three perspectives. Okay, these three perspectives will be reflected while discussion of this topic. So The first perspective is what? Colonial viewpoint. And what is the colonial viewpoint? In more simple terms, what is the first sentence that is written here? So the first sentence, colonial viewpoint, what is the first sentence? The first sentence is the advent of British rule. It means 1757 onwards had brought peace, had brought good governance to the Indian subcontinent. It is colonial viewpoint that British rule in India was like a boon for the Indians. ठीक है, ये Indians के लिए क्या था? एक वरदान था. Again, the same viewpoint that I have discussed with you in the last class, that British were trying to project themselves as liberators, muktidata, that they are the they are the Masiha. They have come here to civilize the Indian people, and Indian people are like white men's burden. ठीक है, बोझ है Indian people for the Britishers, and British are happily carrying this burden. ठीक है, खुश होके इस burden को उठा रहे हैं. That is white men burdenship theory. One theory is the civilizing mission theory. Okay, these all are what? Colonial viewpoint. And colonial viewpoint say that the advent of British rule had brought what? Peace. It had brought what? Good governance in the Indian subcontinent. And what is the second point? Second point is British rule in India. What happened? Development of modern transport and communication network too. And when they are talking about modern transport and communication network, they are talking about railways, postal telegraph network, right? At the time of Lord Dalhousie, 1853, the first railway line from Mumbai to Thane. You all know this fact. So colonial historians will take reference कि हमने क्या किया इंडिया में, रेलवेज डेवलप किए, फिजिकल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलप किया, राइट? एंड दिस लेड द फाउंडेशंस ऑफ मॉडर्न इकोनॉमी फॉर इंडिया. It means we the British people laid the foundation of modern economy in India. This is the colonial viewpoint. ठीक है? The colonial historians are claiming this, that the British laid the foundation of modern economy in India. And the third point, again look here, the railway network and irrigation system was introduced by British. ये बात सही है. Railway network was introduced by British. ठीक है? It's true. Was the bedrock on which a modern economy was built in India. Right? Again, they are emphasizing on this fact that we built railways, we built irrigation system. And irrigation system will do what? Irrigation system will boost agriculture production and productivity, and this will further boost what? Economy. So this is their claim that this was happening, and the British conferred the benefit of Western science and education and prepared the Indians for self-government. Colonial historians are also claiming that we made efforts, हमने कोशिश की, and we are responsible for giving the opportunity to the Indians so that they were familiar with Western science, right? Physics, chemistry, mathematics, technology, medical sciences. ये सब हमने Indians को सिखाया. They were familiar with the modern political system. They were familiar with the new administrative system and practices. And all credit goes to British. सारा का सारा credit किसको जाता है? British को जाता है. And in this way, we are responsible for preparing Indians for self-government. 1947 में इंडिया आज़ाद हुआ. ठीक है, election was there, constitution development was there. Okay, all this happened because we prepared Indians for this. हमने Indians को तैयार किया. It means what is the gist of this topic? That the colonial viewpoint considers that the colonial rule in India was a boon for Indians, right? The British here in India were liberators. British क्या थे? They were the liberators. They were not exploiters. वो colonizers नहीं थे. They were not exploiters. They were not colonizers. Okay. By their efforts, they civilized Indian people. This is the colonial viewpoint. यही है colonial viewpoint. कि अपनी कोशिश से हमने क्या किया? Indians को civilize किया. This is colonial viewpoint. Now, what is the second viewpoint here? The second point, again, this is a statement. Okay. Now, then yes, please. British, not only British, okay, Germans were also developing railway, Italians were also developing railway, but British developed railway in their colonies also. Other group of Europeans also did the same. But there is a reason behind this, and that is what? Investments. Why these investments were made? Because communism was getting popularity in those countries. They need some safe they need some safe destination for their investments. And in India in 1850s, communism was not popular, so the British capitalists thought that we can park our money in India, and the government promised them that we will give you guaranteed benefit or guaranteed dividends on your investments that will vary from 5 to 12%. Okay, गवर्नमेंट ने गारंटी दिया कि अगर आप 100 रुपए लगाओगे, 100 रुपीज इन्वेस्ट करोगे, तो यू विल गेट मिनिमम बेनिफिट ऑफ 5 to 12, उससे ज्यादा भी हो सकता है. And Indians were not given the opportunity to do the investment in the railways. Okay, so by these investments also British were earning. Basically I was to discuss this topic later. ठीक है, when I will discuss railways I will discuss this in detail. तो घबराना नहीं है, थोड़ा मैंने जल्दी में बताया because इसको मैं डिटेल में बताने वाला हूँ. Right, that's a very important topic. Now nationalist viewpoint क्या है? What is the nationalist viewpoint? Okay, the nationalist economics like Dadabhai Nauroji, Mahadev Govind Ranade, his M.G. Ranade, G.V. Joshi, right? G.V. Joshi. Nationalist economists like Dadabhai Nauroji, M.G. Ranade, Mahadev Govind Ranade, and G.V. Joshi. There are other names as well. I will discuss with you later. Okay, this is only to understand the essence. Okay, one important fact about M.G. Ranade, लिख लेना चाहिए आपको, that is very important. So M.G. Ranade was the political guru of Gopal Krishna Gokhale, and Gopal Krishna Gokhale was the political guru of Gandhi. This question is a question of prelims exam. Write this. Gandhi's political guru was Gokhale, and Gokhale's political guru was M.G. Ranade. That's the important fact. You must know this. Okay. Gandhi's political guru was Gokhale, and Gokhale's political guru was M.G. Ranade. Gandhi's political guru was Gokhale, and Gokhale's political guru was M.D. Ranade. And they gave here basically Dadabhai Nauroji gave a theory, and that is what? Drain of wealth. इसके बारे में भी later we will discuss in detail. I am just introducing the chapter because here we read in very details, not details, very details. Okay, so drain of wealth from India to Britain. It means nationalist historians are saying that British are basically, okay, doing what? They are doing unilateral transfer of wealth from India to Britain, and India is getting nothing in return. British क्या कर रहा है? इंडिया का पैसा कहाँ लेके जा रहा है? ब्रिटेन, और बदले में हमें कुछ नहीं मिल रहा है. दिस इज व्हाट? यूनिलैटरल ट्रांसफर ऑफ वेल्थ फ्रॉम इंडिया टू ब्रिटेन. ओके, एंड इन दिस वे दिस इज द मेन रीजन फॉर द इम्पोवरिशमेंट ऑफ आवर कंट्री. हमारे देश की गरीबी का जो राज है वो यही है, बिकॉज हमारा पैसा धीरे धीरे ब्रिटिश कहाँ लेके जा रहा है? ब्रिटेन लेके जा रहा है. दैट इज द ड्रेन ऑफ वेल्थ. आई विल लेटर डिस्कस दिस इन डिटेल. नाउ नौरोजी डेवलप्ड दिस आर्ग्यूमेंट about the drain of wealth from India, and he wrote a book, and the name of that book was Poverty and Un-British Rule in India. book का नाम क्या है? Un-British Rule. And what is un-British rule? Why this word has been used? Un-British. Un-British का मतलब ये है कि when crown rule was established in India in 1858, we all know that 1757 to 1858 there was company rule. Company rule was replaced with crown rule. Crown became the ruler of India. Company rule ended, and the crown said that we will treat Indian subjects like the British subjects. हिंदुस्तान की जनता को हम ब्रिटेन की जनता की तरह समझेंगे. We will not discriminate with Indian subjects. हिंदुस्तान की जनता के साथ कोई भेदभाव नहीं होगा. Okay? British subjects and Indian subjects both are equal for the crown. दोनों एक जैसे हैं, right? And we will provide the same kind of system of administrative practices that is in Britain in India. It means we will provide responsible and responsive governance in India. इंडिया में हम वैसा ही रेस्पॉन्सिबल और रेस्पॉन्सिव गवर्नेंस लाएंगे जैसा कि ब्रिटेन में है. नौरोजी ने एक्सपोज कर दिया ब्रिटिश को. नौरोजी ने कहा बहुत बेवकूफ बना लिया इंडियंस को. इंडिया में वैसा ब्रिटिश रूल नहीं है जैसा कि ब्रिटेन में है, एंड दैट्स व्हाई ही सेड दैट poverty and un-British rule in India. It means the nature of British rule in India is different from the nature of British rule in Britain. That is un-British rule, and this is the root cause of poverty of India, impoverishment of India. तो इस पूरी बुक की टाइटल का मीनिंग इतना डीप है दैट यू मस्ट अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ अन ब्रिटिश रूल इन इंडिया. The nature of British rule in India is not the same as the nature of British rule in Britain. It means the British government is discriminating with Indian people, and this is the root cause of poverty and impoverishment of Indian people. हिंदुस्तान में गरीबी, हिंदुस्तान के लोगों की गरीबी का ये सबसे बड़ा रीजन है. Got it? Now, they argued that British rule led to the impoverishment of India and that the Indian economy was subordinated to meet the needs of British economy. Nationalist historians are saying that, okay, हिंदुस्तान की गरीबी का कारण, पॉवर्टी का कारण, impoverishment का कारण, increase number of famines, ठीक है, increasing intensity of the famines, इन सब का रीजन क्या है? That is the British rule. That is the root cause. British rule is the reason, and Indian economy has been subordinated to fulfill the needs of British economy, and that is the definition of colony. If country is a colony, so there will be a mother nation, parent country, who will control this colony. So the economy of the colony, the social system of the colony, the administrative system of the colony, each and everything in the colony is designed and developed in such a manner that it will not provide benefits to the economy of that colony. Instead, it will give benefits to the parent country, to the mother nation. And that was happening in India. British developed railways in India not to ensure the benefits of Indians. ये कौन कहेगा? Nationalist historians. They developed railways in India, okay, to secure maximum gains for Britain. ब्रिटेन को और ज्यादा फायदा हो सके, इसलिए इंडिया में रेलवे डेवलप किया. ये ओपिनियन किसका है? दिस इज द ओपिनियन ऑफ द नेशनलिस्ट हिस्टोरियंस. नाउ आर यू फैमिलियर? जनरल आइडिया दैट व्हाट कॉलोनियल historiography sense, what is the sense of nationalist historiography about this topic. And now the third sense here is the Marxist perspective. ये भी बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग है, एंड दैट इज ये सबसे ज्यादा वैलिड आर्ग्यूमेंट लगता है, दैट आई विल डिस्कस विथ यू. द मार्क्सिस्ट पर्सपेक्टिव. एंड व्हाट इज दिस मार्क्सिस्ट पर्सपेक्टिव? नाउ हियर सम नेम्स आर रिटन, आर.पी. दत्ता एंड R.K. Mukherjee, Irfan Habib, and these names are not that much important for you. ठीक है ना? Names are not that much important for you. What you should know, Marxist perspective and simple opinion. This is important. Optional students में opinions थोड़े डिटेल में ज़्यादा पढ़ने होते हैं. So here we simply discuss what Marxist perspective. देखो क्या है Marxist understanding, क्या है, right? In world history class we will discuss these ideas, that what is communism, Marxism, socialism, तो वो वहाँ discuss करेंगे. So I am not further elaborating. तो देखो Marxist understanding क्या है colonial economy की. Okay, देखो क्या है. सबसे पहले this point we should know that, okay, देखो क्या, this point first let's discuss this, then I will discuss other points. The Marxist historians share many ideas with the nationalists. इसका मतलब क्या है? At many points the opinion of nationalist historians and Marxist historians are similar. तो कितना आसान हो गया कि ओपिनियन ऑफ नेशनलिस्ट हिस्टोरियंस एंड मार्क्सिस्ट हिस्टोरियंस आर सिमिलर एट मेनी पॉइंट्स. व्हाट डज इट मीन? इट मीन्स नेशनलिस्ट हिस्टोरियंस से दैट ब्रिटिश आर एक्सप्लॉइटिंग इंडिया, राइट? ब्रिटिश इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसीज आर एक्सप्लॉइटिंग इंडिया. इन द सेम वे मार्क्सिस्ट हिस्टोरियंस आल्सो बिलीव दैट ब्रिटिश इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसीज आर एक्सप्लॉइटिंग इंडिया. ब्रिटेन की इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसीज क्या कर रही है? इंडिया को एक्सप्लॉइट कर रही है. एंड व्हाई द ओपिनियन इज सिमिलर? मार्क्सिज्म, ब्रिटेन वाज अ कंट्री व्हिच वाज फर्स्ट इंडस्ट्रियलाइज्ड कंट्री, कैपिटलिस्टिक नेशन. ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी इन इंडिया वाज, ओके, one of the, you can say that, first modern corporate of the world, right? Okay, so obviously the Marxist will charge company, will charge capitalist. उनका हमला कहाँ होगा? कैपिटलिस्ट पे होगा. और ये क्या है? दे विल चार्ज ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी दैट ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी इज डूइंग कॉर्पोरेट कॉन्स्पिरेसी एंड कॉर्पोरेट वायलेंस इन इंडिया. ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी इंडिया में क्या कर रही है? कॉर्पोरेट कॉन्स्पिरेसी, कॉर्पोरेट वायलेंस. दे विल चार्ज ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी. ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी को क्लीन चिट नहीं देंगे मार्क्सिस्ट हिस्टोरियंस, बिकॉज दैट इज अ, ओके, symbol of capitalism, symbol of industrialization. So now they share many ideas. For example, nationalist historians also believe in drain of wealth, that British were doing what? Drain of wealth from India. Marxist historians were also believing that British were doing what? Drain of wealth from India. Nationalist historians were also believing that British economic policies ensured डी-इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन ऑफ इंडिया. ठीक है, इंडिया में जो पहले से एक ट्रेडिशनल इंडस्ट्रीज थी उनको डिस्ट्रॉय कर दिया ब्रिटिश इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसीज, राइट. दिस इज द बिलीफ ऑफ द नेशनलिस्ट हिस्टोरियंस दैट ब्रिटिश इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसीज लेड टू द डिस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ द ट्रेडिशनल इंडस्ट्रीज इन इंडिया. इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसीज की वजह से इंडिया की ट्रेडिशनल इंडस्ट्रीज डिस्ट्रक्ट हो गई. द सेम व्यू पॉइंट इज शेयर बाई मार्क्सिस्ट हिस्टोरियंस. ये भी कहते हैं कि इंडिया में डी इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन ब्रिटिश इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसीज की वजह से ही हुआ. अगेन द नेशनलिस्ट हिस्टोरियन सेज दैट द ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी इन इंडिया promoted, और ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट इन इंडिया promoted कॉमर्शलाइजेशन ऑफ एग्रीकल्चर. ठीक है, एंड दिस कॉमर्शलाइजेशन ऑफ एग्रीकल्चर वाज फोर्स्ड कॉमर्शलाइजेशन. इसको मैं अभी डिटेल से डिस्कस करूंगा क्या है आगे, अभी हिस्टोरियन सेंस समझो. दे promoted forced commercialization of agriculture. Marxist historians are also saying that British economic policies promoted forced commercialization of agriculture. Nationalist historians are also saying that East India Company did what? It exploited the common people. Common people का exploitation हुआ. And here the Marxist historians are also saying that क्या किया गया? Common people का exploitation company ने किया. So Marxist historians and nationalist historians, their viewpoint is similar. ठीक है? Now I am coming to the second part here, because whenever UPSC will ask question from this part, okay, so the question will be approach based question. Okay, now what this Marxist opinion tends to say here, okay, so मैं इसको I am just I will explain it with the help of a sketch, okay, so you can learn it better. Okay, so with the help of board work we can learn it better. Okay, and that is the viewpoint of Marxist historian. Okay, so basically that is the main you can say that main viewpoint, or you can say that most important argument of Marxist historians. What I am going to discuss with you is one of the most important argument of Marxist historians. And what is this argument? Okay, those students who have finished chapter 1 they can learn it better. ठीक है, ज़्यादा बेहतर आप समझ सकते हो. और वो क्या है? That I am asking you a simple question, that British rule in India, that is indirect British rule in India in the form of EIC rule, East India Company rule, was established in which year? So the answer was 1757, right? It means British Raj, Company Raj started in which year? 1757. This is the year that what we see is that Company Raj or British Raj started in this year. Company Raj or British Raj started in the year 1757 with a very popular battle that is known as Battle of Plassey. And with this Battle of Plassey, British were successful in controlling one of the most important and rich provinces of India, and that was Bengal. ठीक है ना? Between these centuries, 16th to 18th centuries, between these centuries, 16th to 18th century, Bengal emerged as one of the most prosperous trading center in India. Okay, so this is a history of 200 years. Bengal emerged as one of the most prosperous center for the trade and commerce in India. ठीक है, इंडिया में बंगाल emerged as the one of the most prosperous center for trade and commerce between 16th to 18th century. और 1757 is which century? It's the second half of 18th century. इसी बंगाल को हड़प लिया अंग्रेजों ने, right? So 1757 is what? It is the second half of 18th century. And in this second half of 18th century, British did what? They established control over Bengal. And this is the beginning of British Raj. यही है हिंदुस्तान में ब्रिटिश राज की शुरुआत. And this battle is very important also due to the events that were followed by this battle. इसके बाद जितने भी events हुए उनकी वजह से ये बैटल और भी ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट हो जाता है, एंड दैट इज़ व्हाट 1764, दैट इज़ व्हाट बैटल ऑफ बक्सर। बैटल ऑफ बक्सर डिड व्हाट, बोर तो नहीं हो रहे हो ना आप लोग? ठीक है, मैं बड़ा खुश हूँ, अपनी मर्जी से पढ़ा रहा हूँ, ठीक है, हर एक चीज़ बताऊंगा, बिकॉज देर आर नो लिमिटेशंस, नो बाउंड्रीज, ठीक है, राइट ऑफ सेल्फ डिटर्मिनेशन, ठीक है, ठीक है, तो जो पढ़ोगे बेहतरीन पढ़ोगे, राइट। नाउ दिस इज व्हाट बैटल ऑफ बक्सर 1764। बैटल ऑफ बक्सर डिड व्हाट, सो इट कन्फर्म्ड, बैटल ऑफ बक्सर डिड व्हाट, इट कन्फर्म्ड द विक्ट्री इन बैटल ऑफ पलासी। बैटल ऑफ बक्सर ने क्या किया, इट कन्फर्म्ड द विक्ट्री इन बैटल ऑफ पलासी। एंड द नेक्स्ट इंपॉर्टेंट इवेंट, यू ऑल नो दिस, बिपिन व्हाट इज द नेक्स्ट इंपॉर्टेंट इवेंट हियर, अगला क्या है? Very good. 1764, sorry, 65. That is the Treaty of Allahabad, and from this treaty, British got what? Diwani rights of Bengal, Bihar, and Odisha. It means now company was not only a trading company; it emerged as an administrative body in India. Okay, this is one event. You all know this in this event. This is the part chapter 1 which we discussed. Again, it is followed by another important event, that is what 1765 to 1772, and this event is known as what, dual system of governance in Bengal. यही है ना, dual system of governance in Bengal. Who started this dual system of governance? So the answer was Clive. यही था ना, क्लाइव ही था। बैटल ऑफ पलासी, द आंसर इज क्लाइव, यहाँ भी क्लाइव आ गया। याद करो, कर्नाटिक वॉर, हु रेस्क्यूड मोहम्मद अली, ठीक है, फ्रॉम द फोर्ट ऑफ त्रिचिनापल्ली, क्लाइव, ठीक है। हु वाज सक्सेसफुल इन एंडिंग द डोमिनेंस ऑफ द फ्रेंच कंपनी, द आंसर इज क्लाइव। So who was the real founder of British Raj in India? The answer is Clive. यही तो है, राइट, ओके, so that is the Clive. अच्छा देखो, क्लाइव की स्टोरी पे याद आया, ठीक है, क्लाइव से हमने क्या सीखा, इंडियंस ने क्या सीखा, बड़ी मजेदार स्टोरी है, सुन। क्लाइव वाज a scribe, okay, basically he was a clerk in company. By his military ability and genius, he became military commander, and finally he emerged as the governor of Bengal, right? By his contributions, the most important victory, that is Battle of Palasi, okay, was completed, okay, and it started the beginning of British rule in India in the form of indirect British rule, or in the form of companies rule. Now what Clive did, Clive earned a lot of money, ठीक है, हिंदुस्तान से बहुत सारा पैसा कमाया ये, okay, and Clive has two phases of his गवर्नरशिप में क्लाइव के टू फेजेस हैं, दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट दैट आई एम शेयरिंग विथ यू, बिकॉज दिस क्लास वी आर रीडिंग इन द फॉर्म ऑफ स्टोरी, तो विथ पेशेंस विल डिस्कस, देयर इज नो एनी प्रॉब्लम। आर यू गेटिंग दिस स्लाइड ऑन द स्क्रीन? ओके, दिस स्मार्ट लुकिंग हैंडसम पर्सन इज क्लाइव, ठीक है, बस इसको थोड़े हेयर ट्रांसप्लांट की जरूरत है, ठीक है, दिस इज क्लाइव, ओके। नाउ व्हाट वी सी दैट क्लाइव वाज इन ऑफिस, देखो देयर आर टू फेजेस ऑफ क्लाइव गवर्नरशिप, और वो फेजेस कौन कौन से हैं, दिस वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड, ठीक है। देखो फर्स्ट फेज क्या है, फ्रॉम 1757 टू 1760, एंड आफ्टर दिस क्लाइव डिड व्हाट, ठीक है, ही रिटर्न बैक। देखो क्या, बिफोर क्लाइव रोजर ड्रेक वाज द प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ फोर्ट विलियम, देन व्हाट, रोजर ड्रेक वाज रोजर ड्रेक, and after Clive, who will get this office? So the answer is Henry Vanstart. Why this fact is important? क्लाइव का इंपॉर्टेंस हिस्ट्री में क्या है, और अगर क्वेश्चन डिफिकल्ट बनाना होगा तो यूपीएससी विल डू व्हाट, बिकॉज देयर आर टू फेजेस ऑफ क्लाइव्स गवर्नरशिप, दिस इज द फर्स्ट फेज एंड दिस इज व्हाट, सेकेंड फेज। तो यहाँ पे आपको एग्जाम में कंफ्यूजन हो सकता है, एंड यूपीएससी में फ्रेम क्वेश्चंस इन प्रीलिम्स, क्योंकि उनका काम ही है डिफिकल्ट बनाना, जहाँ पे आप ट्रैप हो जाओ। सो दिस इज फर्स्ट फेज एंड दिस इज व्हाट, सेकेंड फेज, 1764 टू 1767, ठीक है ना। हियर मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट बैटल इज बैटल ऑफ पलासी। यहाँ पे 1764 में, ये बाद में आता है आफ्टर दिस बैटल ऑफ बक्सर, बट हिज कंट्रीब्यूशन इज इंपॉर्टेंट इन ट्रीटी ऑफ इलाहाबाद, यहाँ इसका कंट्रीब्यूशन इंपॉर्टेंट है। एंड ही स्टार्टेड व्हाट, यही है ना टाइम पीरियड, ड्यूअल सिस्टम ऑफ गवर्नेंस, यू ऑल नो दैट इट कंटिन्यूड इन बंगाल फॉर हाउ मेनी इयर्स, 7 years, So it started in 1765. So who started dual system of governance? So the answer is Clive. And 1767 क्लाइव रिटर्न टू इंग्लैंड. क्लाइव इंग्लैंड चला गया और क्लाइव के पहले हेनरी वेन स्टार्ट, ओके, और क्लाइव के बाद हैरी वेरल्स्ट, ठीक है, ही वाज द गवर्नर. फिर आगे कौन आएगा? हेस्टिंग्स वगैरह आएगा, बट दिस क्लाइव इज इंपॉर्टेंट, हेस्टिंग्स इज इंपॉर्टेंट. तो आमतौर पे हम क्या डिस्कस करते हैं? क्लाइव और हेस्टिंग्स से डिस्कस करते हैं. इज दिस क्लियर? नाउ द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट, व्हेन क्लाइव रिटर्न्ड इंग्लैंड, कब वापस जाएगा वो? 1767. ही डाइड इन विच ईयर? 1774. So 1767 he will return to England, and when he will return he has earned a lot of money, okay, because of corruption. इकोनॉमिक लूट, हिंदुस्तान में लूट हो रहा था, करप्शन हो रहा था, बहुत पैसा क्लाइव के पास आया. एंड व्हेन ही रिटर्न टू इंग्लैंड, द इंग्लिश एरिस्टोक्रेट क्लास वाज वेरी जेलस ऑफ क्लाइव. उन्होंने कहा ये खानदानी अमीर नहीं है, खानदानी रईस नहीं है, नया नया रईस हुआ है, राइट? सो दे वर वेरी जेलस ऑफ क्लाइव एंड दे वर सेइंग क्लाइव, वही क्लाइव को कह रहे थे, क्या कह रहे थे? लॉर्ड वल्चर. लॉर्ड क्लाइव नहीं कह रहे थे, क्या कह रहे थे? दे वर सेइंग क्लाइव लॉर्ड वल्चर. Do you understand the meaning? Why they were saying? Because during this dual system of governance in 7 years, what happened? I have told you, about 20% to 30% population of Bengal died due to a famine, and the intensity of this famine was very high. Government did not provide humanitarian assistance and support, and this famine was man-made. This famine was as a result of the economic policies of British in India. So Clive has two personalities. One, his achievements, and second is his failures. His failures during what? Dual system of governance in Bengal. ठीक है ना? And the economic loot that started from Bengal. Okay. The agriculture production started declining in Bengal, and the company officials were earning a lot of money through bribes, through gift, and in this way Clive returned. Clive वापस गया. He was called Lord Vulture. The people called him Tyrant of Madras. ठीक है? The people called him Tyrant of Madras. और क्लाइव ने क्या किया था? He has collected a lot of money. बहुत सारा पैसा उसके पास था. जैसे आजकल इलेक्शन में लोग क्या होता है, जैसे आजकल नहीं होता, 10-15 साल पहले होता था कि लोगों का ड्रीम प्रोजेक्ट होता था कि पहले आईएएस बनना है, फिर बहुत सारा पैसा करप्शन करके कमाना है, फिर किसी पार्टी से जाके एमपी का टिकट खरीद लेना और एमपी बन जाना है, पॉलिटिक्स में जाना है. पहले आईएएस बनना है, फिर पॉलिटिक्स में जाना है. भाई पॉलिटिक्स में जाना है, सीधे सीधे चले जाओ. आईएएस बन के पॉलिटिक्स में क्यों जाना है? क्योंकि पैसा कमा लोगे. बिकॉज देर वॉज करप्शन, देर वॉज रेड टेपिज्म. यही तो क्लाइव से सीखा. क्लाइव ने यहाँ से पैसा कमाया, उसके बाद ब्रिटेन गया, ब्रिटेन में जाके मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट की सीट खरीद ली उसने. ठीक है? जैसे आजकल पार्टी से लोग टिकट खरीदते हैं 10-20 करोड़ रुपए देके. ठीक है? सोचो क्लाइव से, तब से हमने ये कल्चर क्लाइव से सीख लिया है. ठीक है? कि आईएएस की सर्विस में जाना है, करप्शन करना है, पैसा कमाना है, फिर पॉलिटिक्स में जाना. हालांकि अब ये सिस्टम क्या हो चुका है, इसीलिए लोग नौकरी छोड़ के टीचर बन जा रहे हैं. ठीक है? ओके. और टीचर पॉलिटिशियन बन जा रहे हैं. ठीक है? चलिए चलिए, ये तो बस इंटरेस्टिंग बात थी, थोड़ा बता दिया आपको. नाउ वी आर कमिंग टू द टॉपिक. ओके. Yes. So we were discussing what? This dual system of governance in Bengal, and it did what? Now, Marxist interpretation क्या है? जो आपको पहले से पता है, बस मैं रिलेट करूंगा और आपको पूरी स्टोरी समझ में आ जाएगी. मार्क्सिस्ट क्या है कि थीम को कनेक्ट करने में एक्सपर्ट हैं. जो यूपीएससी का अप्रोच है, इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी अप्रोच, इधर का ले जाकर उधर जोड़ दो. ठीक है? मार्क्सिस्ट इस काम में माहिर हैं. इसीलिए मार्क्सिस्ट हिस्टोरियंस का दबदबा बहुत ज़्यादा है हिस्ट्री में. इंटरलिंकिंग. What Marxists will interlink? That is very interesting. Marxist historians will say that this part, now they will say that now we are coming to Britain. And in Britain, the Industrial Revolution started when? You will give the answer. Industrial Revolution? 1760s. So they said that Britain में Industrial Revolution started in 1760s. And when Industrial Revolution will start in a country, this Industrial Revolution will create new needs for more and more raw materials, because now the manufacturing will be done as a result of this factory system of production. तो प्रोडक्शन विल बी इंक्रीज मैनीफोल्ड टाइम्स. पता चले कि आप दिन भर में 10 शूज बना रहे हो या 10 शर्ट बना रहे हो, और फैक्ट्री आपने लगाई तो आपने बना दिया 1 लाख शर्ट. तो यू नीड व्हाट? रॉ कॉटन. आपको कॉटन चाहिए ना, एंड यू नीड larger market for the supply of this manufactured goods. So this industrial revolution generated two new needs. One need was what? Need for more and more raw materials, and second is what? Need for new markets where they could sell their manufactured goods. जहाँ पे वो क्या कर सके? अपने manufactured goods को sell कर सके. Got it? And what Marxist historians are saying? That India was fulfilling both these needs. And for this reason, what British did? For this reason, what British did? For this reason, British established their political control over Bengal to fulfill their industrial needs. And that is why both these two processes are simultaneous of each other. दोनों साथ साथ चलने वाला process है. Both these two processes are simultaneous in each other. Okay. On one side, what we see? Company Raj was established. On other side, what we see? Industrial revolution in Britain was introduced. Okay. It means that who is paying price for the success of industrial revolution in Britain? We Indians are paying price for the success of industrial revolution in Britain. और मार्क्सिस्ट हिस्टोरियंस का जो चाचा है उसका नाम क्या है? मार्क्स. एंड व्हाट मार्क्स सेड? मार्क्स सेड दैट इंडिया वाज ब्लीडिंग and industrial revolution in Britain was becoming सक्सेसफुल और ब्लूमिंग. ठीक है. इंडिया की हालत क्या थी? लहूलुहान थी, और ब्रिटेन में इंडस्ट्रियल रिवॉल्यूशन सक्सेसफुल हो रहा था. इट मींस वी इंडियंस पेड द प्राइस फॉर द सक्सेस ऑफ इंडस्ट्रियल रिवॉल्यूशन. Got this idea? Okay. So this is what Marx said. Write this statement. What Marx said? Marx said that industrial India was bleeding. India was bleeding and industrial revolution in Britain was becoming successful. India was bleeding and industrial revolution in Britain was becoming successful. India was bleeding and industrial revolution in Britain was becoming successful. Clear? Any doubt? Okay. Now we are entering into the topic. फिर बीच में कुछ और चीज़ें मैं relate करूँगा because my purpose is to connect everything, because this will develop a broad idea in your mind. और फिर उस knowledge का use आप ऐसा नहीं कि केवल history में करोगे. You are going to use this knowledge, okay, wherever you will need. Okay. So that's why our classes are like this. ठीक है. मैं डरता रहता हूँ, इसलिए डरता रहता हूँ because I try to teach, okay, try to introduce some new methods, try to present lecture on some new formats, and traditional formats are already there. Okay. तो मुझे डर लगता है कि कहीं बच्चे घबरा ना जाएं कि ये क्या चल रहा है, सर ने वैक्सीन का टेस्ट हमारे ऊपर ही कर दिया. ठीक है. दिस इज द नीड फॉर यूपीएससी एग्जाम. यही एग्जाम की ज़रूरत है. ठीक है ना. तो जब भी आप पढ़ो तो रीड लाइक दिस. ठीक है. तो आपका थोड़ा टाइम ज़्यादा लगेगा, बट वंस यू विल डेवलप योर कमांड, ओके, यू विल फाइंड दैट you are comfortable with the needs of the exam. Now we are coming to the first. We will draw a sketch, right? Draw this sketch. That is very important. Okay. One part you will write pre-colonial era, pre-colonial era, and the second part is colonial era. One part is pre-colonial era, and the second is what? Colonial era. Pre-colonial era and colonial era. Now just Akash, answer this question. What will be this pre-colonial era and what will be the time period of this colonial era? क्या होगा? नहीं नहीं, आप प्री कॉलोनियल एरा में ब्रिटिश केम टू इंडिया, एक जनरल टाइमलाइन क्या है? 1600. बिकॉज इंडिया वाज अ कॉलोनी ऑफ ब्रिटेन ना, तो हमें केवल ब्रिटेन का कॉन्टेक्स्ट में बताना है. ओके. 1600 to 1757. This is pre-colonial era. Why we are saying this? Because company is in India, but it's a trading company only. In this phase, India is not a colony. India colony नहीं है. Okay, different European companies were there. Here East India Company was also present here, but the company was a trading company only. ठीक है ना, कंपनी केवल और केवल क्या थी, ट्रेडिंग कंपनी. Okay, it means India was not a colony of Great Britain. So this era is will be called what, pre-colonial era. And which era will be called colonial era? The answer is very simple. You will count it from 1757 to 1947. 1757 to 1947. And now this two can be divided into two parts. इसको भी कर सकते हैं. In this colonial era, what we see? British rule. So one is what? And the second is direct British rule. So this phase is indirect British rule. And the second phase is direct British rule. So one phase is indirect British rule and the second phase is direct British rule. And this indirect British rule, this is also known as companies rule, EIC's rule. इसी को हम क्या कहते हैं? This is also known as companies rule. कंपनी कैसे रूल कर पा रही है? Because government has given company charter, monopolistic rights charter. So is there a relation between company and metropole? Yes, there is a relation, and due to this relation we are calling that this is indirect British rule in India. So what will be the phase of this indirect British rule in India? So the phase will be from, very good, 1857-58. You can write both these years. Different historians mention different year. And the direct British rule, this time period is from, direct British rule हो जाएगा, this is from 1858 to exactly till independence, that is 1947. This is one simple division. Now the question, okay, that when British rule was established in India, what will be the answer? Majority of the historians, yes, write this, majority of the historians share this opinion. Majority of the historians, because ये matter of debate है, कब से माने. The majority of the historians share this opinion. 1757. Majority of the historians share this opinion. That is 1757. Now, in order to discuss the economic policies under this British rule, we need to further divide this colonial era in three parts. Okay, so write this. Okay, in order to explore economic policies of British in India, right? In order to explore economic policies of British in India, we need to divide this British rule phase again. Okay, so we are dividing this British rule phase again. So British rule phase is what? 1757 to 1947. यही पूरा का पूरा phase है. So we need to divide this phase again. Okay, so that we could understand that what important developments took place in this period. Okay, now the first phase is called, read this, period of merchant capitalism. I have already discussed the meaning of merchant capitalism or the mercantilism. So that is the first phase. So the first phase is period of merchant capitalism, or it is also known as mercantilism. This is the first phase. And what is the time period? From 1757 to 1813. This is the initial phase of establishment of British rule in India. That is the period of merchant capitalism or mercantilism from 1757 to 1813. This is the initial phase of the establishment of British rule in India. Got it? Now, the second phase, write this, second phase. Okay, first phase आपने लिखा. The second phase is, right, period of industrial capitalism. Period of industrial capitalism. This is the second phase. Period of industrial capitalism. Period of industrial capitalism. And the time period is 1813 to 1857 or 58. 1857 or 58. This is the time period. And the third phase is period of finance capitalism or fiscal capitalism. That is the third phase. That is the period of finance capitalism or fiscal capitalism. Period of finance capitalism or fiscal capitalism, and the time period here will be 1857-58 to 1947. Clear? So we need to understand this division. With the help of this division, we will be able to trace the डेवलपमेंट्स ड्यूरिंग दिस टाइम पीरियड कि पूरा हुआ क्या था कॉलोनियल रूल में, इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसीज कैसी थी, ठीक है, ब्रिटिश ने कैसे इंडिया में इंडियंस को इकोनॉमिकली एक्सप्लॉइट किया. तो टाइम पीरियड इज क्लियर. एक बार रिवाइज करो, क्लास में ही याद हो जाना चाहिए. ओके, यू विल नॉट लीव इट फॉर टुमारो. ओके, वट एवर यू आर रीडिंग in class you must be able to retain all the facts or the information. Again I am asking, okay, the first division is what? Colonial era and pre-colonial era. What is the time period of pre-colonial era? It's very good. And what is the time period of colonial era? बोलते रहो, जहाँ बैठे हो म्यूट करके भी बोलो. Now colonial era again has been divided into how many parts? The answer is 3. Okay, first part is called period of merchant capitalism or mercantilism. Okay, what is the time period? From 1757 to 1813. Is this the initial phase of the establishment of British rule in India? Yes. And what is the second phase? Second phase is period of industrial capitalism. What is the time period? From 1813 to 1857, 58. And the third is what? Period of finance capitalism or fiscal capitalism. And what is the time period? The time period is 1858 to 1947. So first we will discuss which phase? First phase. पहले इस phase में क्या हुआ? We will try to discuss everything, then we can easily understand the development. So write the first phase here. The first phase was period of mercantilism. Period of mercantilism, and this time period is 1757 to 1813 AD. Okay, so what happened during this time period? This we need to understand. ठीक है, बिल्कुल मैथमेटिक्स और फिजिक्स की तरह समझना इवेंट्स को. Try to connect the themes, and the concept is very easy, right? Reading books makes it more difficult, right? Now I'm asking again this question. I hope all of you know this, that what is mercantilism? Mercantilism क्या है? I have already discussed it. Now you will tell me what is mercantilism. Exactly, it is an economic theory. I have already discussed with you that when we talk about this mercantilism, so ism means what? Ideology or theory. Ideology or theory. And what is this ideology or theory? So basically this is an economic theory. This is an what? Economic theory. Economic theory of state. Economic theory of the state. This is an economic theory of a state. And this economic theory of a state evolved in which centuries? It is 17th, 18th century. 17th, 18th century. This economic theory emerged. And what is the basic crux and essence of this economic theory? So the answer is very simple. Mercantilism means what? Merchant plus capitalism. Merchant plus capitalism. Okay. So capitalism focuses where? Capitalism focuses, or it intends on making more and more profit. It intends on making more and more profit. यही तो है कैपिटलिज्म. कैपिटलिज्म में फोकस क्या होता है? प्रॉफिट मेकिंग. ओके, प्रॉफिट मेकिंग. फॉर एग्जांपल, a businessman, okay, does what? Focus on profit making, focus on maximizing the profits or the gains. Okay, and here what is happening? Capitalism tends to increase its profit, more and more profit making. And here what is the most important thing? That what is the meaning of merchant here? So now here the estate will behave like a merchant. That is the most important thing. that here what we see, that state will behave like a merchant. स्टेट मर्चेंट की तरह बिहेव करने लगेगा, और ऐसा होना नहीं चाहिए. दिस शुड नेवर हैपन. सपोज द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया स्टार्ट्स बिहेविंग लाइक मर्चेंट, तो अपना तो कबाड़ा निकल जाएगा भाई. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. गवर्नमेंट इज अ डिफरेंट एंटिटी एंड द बिजनेसमैन इज अ डिफरेंट एंटिटी. बिजनेसमैन का क्या होगा? इफ दे विल सफर लॉस, दे विल कट एक्सपेंडिचर, दे विल डू ले ऑफ्स. बट व्हाट अबाउट द गवर्नमेंट? कभी सुना आपने? जैसे अभी हिमाचल प्रदेश की गवर्नमेंट सैलरी नहीं दे पा रही थी, तो क्या उन्होंने एम्प्लॉयज़ को कहा? हिमाचल था, इट वाज हिमाचल, या कौन सा स्टेट था? वाज इट हिमाचल? ओके, इट वाज इन न्यूज़. तो दे डिड व्हाट? दे डिड नॉट कट एम्प्लॉयज़ ना. एम्प्लॉयज़ को कट नहीं किया, उनकी नंबर्स रिड्यूस नहीं की. बट एक प्राइवेट बिजनेसमैन क्या करेगा? ले ऑफ कर देगा ना. तो व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन द प्राइवेट बिजनेसमैन द स्टेट? द प्राइवेट बिजनेसमैन टेंड्स ऑन प्रॉफिट मेकिंग. Okay, what is the most important priority of the businessman? Income. पहली priority क्या है? Income. Okay, and then expenditure. ठीक है. If they will suffer loss, they will cut expenditure. But what about the government? Government जब budget बनाती है, तो what is the most important priority for the government? Income or expenditure? Expenditure. मेरी बात समझ गया ना? This is the difference between the government and businessman. Now, what was happening in the 17th, 18th century? This idea comes in Britain, and now the British government behaves like a merchant. Okay, the British government behaves like a merchant, the state is behaving like a merchant, and now state focus on more and more profit making. So state का profit making ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा कैसे होगा? So this can be done by maximizing export. ये कैसे हो सकता है? By maximizing export from that nation. If Britain as a country will export more goods, so in return, in exchange, they will get currency, they will get precious metals, that is called bullion. बदले में क्या मिलेगा ब्रिटेन को? Precious metal और bullion. They will export more, they will gain more. And what about imports? You will cut imports. Okay, so in this way you can make your balance of trade surplus, beauty surplus. अगर एक्सपोर्ट को मैक्सिमाइज कर दे, एक्सपोर्ट को मैक्सिमाइज कर दे और इंपोर्ट को रिड्यूस कर दे, तो वी कैन मेक द बिजनेस प्रॉफिटेबल. एंड योर स्टेट इज ओके acting like a businessman. This was the British government. Okay, now why we are calling merchant capitalism here? Look here, 1757. Is not it the same phase that it's 1760s when industrial revolution came in Britain? Yes or no? Yes, industrial revolution in Britain in 1760s. And now here a state is behaving like a merchant, because this is the age of merchant capitalism. So a state will make policies. Okay, a state will do what? A state will make policies, and by these policies the British government will try to maximize its export. And who can be helpful in this purpose? East India Company, because East India Company was already in there in India for more than 150 years. प्री कॉलोनियल एरा कब से कब तक है? 1600 to 1757. 150 years का एक्सपीरियंस है, और एक्सपीरियंस मायने रखता है कि नहीं? ओके, व्हेन आई स्टार्टेड टीचिंग, ओके, इट वाज द ईयर आई होप 2013, और आई थिंक दैट I was in a stage of preparation. I started preparation for the last 2 years. I started teaching. Okay, and after 3 or 4 years, I opened my own institute. Okay, and that institute was beneath, on the top floor of that institute, a renowned teacher of history was teaching. Okay, so when students came to my class, that teacher used to say that I have 18 years of experience. अब मैं क्या करूं? मुझे तो तैयारी करते हुए 2 से 3 साल हुआ था तब. Okay, so that business collapsed. ठीक है, because I could not reply when a teacher says that I have 18 years of experience. पता चला मेरी एज ही है 23 year. Okay, 24 year. Okay, now I also have 7 to 8 years of experience. ठीक है, तो अब थोड़ा सा लोग सीरियसली ले लेते हैं, एक्सपीरियंस मैटर करता है. बट कल की क्लास में मैंने क्या बताया था? बिना एक्सपीरियंस, ठीक है, एज डज नॉट मैटर. My students can teach better than me. I always believe in this. कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. आप में से कोई 20 years का बच्चा मुझसे ज़्यादा बेटर पढ़ा सकता है, आई हैव फर्म बिलीफ ऑन दिस, आई विल नेवर से कि मेरा स्टूडेंट है, ओके, आई विल नेवर से, okay. Now company has experience of 150 year, they were doing trade and commerce in India. India में वो क्या कर रहा है, ट्रेड एंड कॉमर्स कर रहा है, okay, experience of 150 years. So what will happen, government will use what, East India Company as a medium. Why government, British government will use East India Company? The story is very interesting. India, and here East India Company is a trading company, and this trading company is doing what, it is also in conflict with other European groups or other trading companies in India. ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी दूसरी कंपनीज के साथ कॉन्फ्लिक्ट भी कर रही थी, दैट वाज द कॉमर्शियल राइवलरी. आई हैव ऑलरेडी डिस्कस्ड विथ यू दैट कॉन्सेप्ट इज कॉल्ड व्हाट, कॉमर्शियल राइवलरी. कॉमर्शियल राइवलरी कहते हैं. इंग्लिश केम इन कॉन्फ्लिक्ट विथ पोर्टुगीज, इंग्लिश कॉन्फ्लिक्ट विथ डच, इंग्लिश कॉन्फ्लिक्ट विथ फ्रेंच. दिस इज व्हाट, कॉमर्शियल राइवलरी. आप मार्केट से अपने राइवल्स को क्यों हटाना चाहते हो, टू मैक्सिमाइज योर प्रॉफिट और गेन. मेरी बात समझ गया ना? when there will be more rivals in the market, your profit will decline, okay. When other competitors from the market will be out, what will happen, your profits will increase. It means in these 150 years, this is a period of almost 150 years, and East India Company was trying to do what, East India Company was already trying, East India Company was already trying to establish its monopoly. It was already trying to establish its monopoly over Indian market. कंपनी बदमाश तो थी पहले से ही, ठीक है. इट वॉज ऑलरेडी ट्राइंग टू एस्टैब्लिश इट्स मोनोपोली, और ब्रिटेन और ब्रिटिश क्राउन को पता है कि ऐसी ही कंपनी चाहिए हमें, इसीलिए भेजा ही था उसको, राइट. नाउ कंपनी वॉज ऑलरेडी ट्राइंग टू एस्टैब्लिश इट्स मोनोपोली. दूसरी चीज क्या है, इन ब्रिटेन व्हाट हैपेंड, industrial revolution came in the year 1760, okay. And this industrial revolution in its initial phase was, industrial revolution शुरू में क्या था ब्रिटेन में, very good, very good, it was textile revolution. That is the very important thing. This industrial revolution in its initial phase was what, textile revolution. And we all know that India was a major exporter of textile products. It was textile products also, textile product, हम product की बात कर रहे हैं, not raw cotton. It was a major exporter of textile product. जब तक ब्रिटेन में इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन नहीं हुआ था, वहाँ फैक्ट्री सिस्टम नहीं था, तो वहाँ भी ट्रेडिशनल मेथड से प्रोडक्शन होता था, इंडिया में भी ट्रेडिशनल मेथड से प्रोडक्शन होता था. ब्रिटेन की पॉपुलेशन इतनी सी, इंडिया की पॉपुलेशन इतनी, क्या होगा, ओके. Plus India was also the rich source of, okay, raw cotton, jute, silk. Ancient time से silk route हमारे यहाँ था. So we have abundance of raw materials. Plus due to large size of population, we were able to produce more. And at that time, the European market was flooded with the Indian textiles. This is also important, that at that time the European markets were flooded with Indian textile. European markets were flooded with Indian textiles. उस समय क्या था, European market were flooded with Indian textile. Got it? European market flooded with Indian textiles. ये बहुत ही मजेदार सिनेरियो है. It means who is the most important competitor of Great Britain? India, major competitor. India was a major competitor, and Britain was not able to compete India. India was a major competitor and Britain was not able to compete. तो जब आप compete नहीं कर पाते हो तो क्या यूज करते हो, कॉन्स्पिरेसी, प्रोपेगेंडा, ठीक है, छल कपट, ये यूज होता है, ठीक है. अच्छा, आपने कभी देखा, एक ह्यूमन टेंडेंसी है, फॉर एग्जांपल यू मस्ट हैव मेनी फ्रेंड्स, आपके कुछ दोस्त, कुछ परिचित ऐसे भी हो सकते हैं, एक्वेंटेंस, दैट वो देखेंगे कि यार विपिन इज मोर इंटेलिजेंट दैन मी, ठीक है, विपिन ने प्रीलिम्स क्लियर कर लिया, मेंस क्लियर कर लिया, इंटरव्यू दे रहा है, और बेचारे का वो उसका कुछ हो नहीं रहा, उसको कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा है। तब जब वो आपके साथ बैठेगा तो कहेगा माई फादर इज एन IAS ऑफिसर. What does your father do? Vipin will say that my father is a farmer. He will say that my grandfather was also an IAS officer. इसका मतलब जब मामला बराबरी का ना हो तो कहाँ पहुंच जाओ? खानदान पे पहुंच जाओ, ठीक है, इकोनॉमिक कैपेबिलिटी पे पहुंच जाओ, जाति पे पहुंच जाओ, धर्म पहुंच जाओ, लेकिन हमेशा मामला क्या होना चाहिए? 1 to 1. ठीक है, मुझसे बात कर रहे हो, मेरी हैसियत पूछो, अपनी बताओ, ठीक है, हमेशा ऐसा होना चाहिए, ठीक है. सो हमने हम तय करने वाले थोड़ी न थे कि हम किस परिवार में पैदा होंगे, किस धर्म में पैदा होंगे, किस जाति में पैदा होंगे, अमीर पैदा होंगे, गरीब पैदा होंगे. दिस वॉज नॉट डिसाइडेड बाय अस, बट वॉट वी आर टूडे, ओके, वॉट वी विल बी इन आवर फ्यूचर, दिस डिसीजन वी कैन टेक. ठीक है, मेरी बात समझ गया ना? Okay, so that we should do. So this is textile revolution, and this is what we said, that the Britain was the major competitor. Now what will happen in India? The most prosperous province was, India का सबसे prosperous province क्या था? It was one of the most prosperous province of Bengal. अब ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट की नजर कहाँ थी? बंगाल. They thought that if we will establish our political control, if we will establish our dominance and influence on Bengal, we can get raw cotton, jute, we can also supply manufactured goods, we can eliminate other competitors, we can get lot of revenue. Okay, पूरी नजर कहाँ जाके टिकी हुई है? बंगाल पे. It means if British will establish political control over Bengal, they can support their industrial revolution in Britain. So they will not care for valid or non-valid means. They will not care for ethical and non-ethical means. How Battle of Plassey was conquered? With the help of conspiracy. Conspiracy क्या अच्छी बात है? नहीं. बैटल ऑफ प्लासी जीतने के लिए ब्रिटिश ने क्या किया? Conspiracy किया. They did what? Conspiracy. That is the most important thing, that the British did what? Conspiracy. Now, I will give you some example and the statement that is very important, okay, because we are talking about Bengal. This is the Bengal in 18th century, 16th. Right. Okay, so we are taking these images single. So basically, when we talk about Bengal, so this is the province. Okay, this is Bengal here. Look at this map. This part is Bengal region. Bengal region. Okay. This part was very fertile also. It was an important center for raw cotton, jute. ठीक है, जैसे बांग्लादेश भी तो उसका हिस्सा हो गया आज के टाइम में, राइट? एंड बिटवीन दिस 16th to 18th century, between this 16th to 18th century, Bengal was one of the rich province, ठीक है, in India, one of the most important or rich province in India. ये सारे वर्ड्स आपने सुने हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल फोर्ट अलीनगर सुना होगा, हुगली सुना होगा, ओके, और ये सारी चीजें क्या दिखला रही हैं? रिवर बेसिन. ओके, यू कैन से दैट द डिफरेंट रिवर्स हियर. इससे ज्यादा बेटर समझ में आएगा इस मैप में. लुक हियर, डू यू सी important rivers here? And the location of important rivers will do what? Fertile plain. Okay, soil will be fertile, so it is important for agriculture production, productivity. That is important for, okay, raw materials, raw cotton, raw jute. So British can get this clear. Plus this can be important center, okay, through which they can do trade and commerce using the sea route also. For this reason also it was important. And the Nawabs of Bengal were good administrators, so you can say that they also promoted economic prosperity in Bengal by providing safe environment for trade and commerce. This is also one factor. Now, 16th to 18th century, it's an important information about Bengal. And what is the information? Recent studies on the economic and social history of Bengal from 16th to 18th century. We are talking about 16th to 18th century. When Plassey battle was fought, 1757. This is what? Mid of 18th century. So the recent studies on economic and social history of Bengal from the 16th to 18th century suggest that the region, it means Bengal region, experienced an economic boom in this time. So which time we are talking? 16th to 17th century. Okay, 16th to 18th, Bengal region experienced what? Economic boom. Okay, owing to expansion in the agrarian frontier. It means what? Agriculture production, agriculture productivity, this all increased in Bengal. एंड वो क्या था? पिलर था हमारी इकोनॉमी का, एग्रीकल्चर आज भी है, दैट इज द प्राइमरी सेक्टर. Okay, a flourishing textile industry. It means between 16th to 18th century, Bengal was an important center for what? Textile industry also. And there is an important fact, you can also find this in NCERT book, that out of the total exports of Asia, okay, one third of total export from Asia, मैं एशिया की बात कर रहा हूँ, one third of the total exports from Asia was contributed alone from Bengal region. पूरे एशिया के वन थर्ड एक्सपोर्ट से ज्यादा एक्सपोर्ट कहां से होता था? बंगाल. यानी इन इंडिया द ओवरऑल एक्सपोर्ट वेयर मोर, इंपोर्ट्स वेयर लेस. इंडिया में ओवरऑल एक्सपोर्ट ज्यादा था इंडिया से, इंपोर्ट कम था. इट मीन्स बैलेंस ऑफ ट्रेड वाज इन द फेवर ऑफ इंडिया. Yes, it was surplus. So between this 16th to 18th century, this BOT was surplus from Bengal, plus this BOT was surplus for India also, because we were doing more exports than imports. Okay? That is the most important thing. Now, the next important point is, okay, urbanization. It means it emerged as an important urban center. Trade with Western Gangetic Plains, yes, and Indo-European maritime trade. Okay, all these are the important aspects of trade and commerce from the Bengal region. Okay, now what is the next here is that, okay, the economic boom began with the incorporation of Bengal into the Mughal Empire. It means Bengal became a part of Mughal province in which year? 1590. Who was the ruler of, who was the Mughal ruler in this time period? कौन था? Okay, देखता हूँ कौन बता देता है आप में से. Who was the? Very good, very good, very good, आकाश. अकबर. 1556 से 1605 किसका शासन है? It is the rule of Akbar. Okay, so when Akbar was ruling, Bengal became a part of Mughal province. अच्छा, when later Mughals will come, what will happen? Bengal will become virtually independent. बताया था ना. So Bengal was what? A kind of successor state. Bengal successor state था. तो हमेशा याद रखो कि in the age of later Mughals, Bengal was what? A successor state. सक्सेसर स्टेट का मतलब जो पहले मुगल एम्पायर का हिस्सा था और बाद में उससे क्या हो गया? अलग हो गया. दैट इज अ सक्सेसर स्टेट. वेरी सिंपल. ओके, इट वाज आल्सो अ वर्चुअली इंडिपेंडेंट स्टेट. ये हम पढ़ चुके हैं रीजनल स्टेट में. नाउ देखो क्या हुआ. इट बिकेम अ पार्ट ऑफ मुगल एम्पायर. अकबर वाज रूलिंग. सो व्हाट विल हैपन? अ पावरफुल रूलर, अ प्रोग्रेसिव रूलर विल डू व्हाट? Stimulated urban settlements, trade and commerce, growth, cultivation, strong state. Bengal had significant resource advantage. This line gives a message that under Mughal rulers also, trade and commerce was promoted. Got it? Okay. In ancient India, there was economic prosperity. Trade and commerce was good. And during the Mughal rulers also, there was economic prosperity and trade and commerce was good. The another important, you can say that crucial factor for the economic prosperity of Bengal was long coastline. Okay, rivers. Okay, alluvial soil, plentiful water, high yield of land. Parts of early means it was also a trading and manufacturing center for the centuries. अब देखो 16th to 18th पे इकोनॉमी क्या थी? बूम पे थी. और 1590 में इट बिकेम पार्ट ऑफ मुगल एम्पायर. और तब से इसकी यानी कि 16th सेंचुरी से ही इकोनॉमी बंगाल की लगातार एक्सपेंड हो रही थी. दिस इकोनॉमी वाज बिकमिंग बेटर डे बाय डे. सच एडवांटेजेस इट इज प्रोपोज्ड हैड प्लेस्ड peasants, artisans, merchants of Bengal, right, in a position of strength when new export opportunities opened up. It means There was economic prosperity, all were happy. Okay, there were economic prospect for all, agriculturists also, right, peasants also, artisans also, and records of European voyages in Bengal confirm the picture of prosperity. ये ऐसा नहीं है कि कोई हम नेशनलिस्ट हिस्टोरियन के आइडियोलॉजी से इंस्पायर होके बंगाल की तारीफ किए जा रहे हैं कि बंगाल ऐसा था, नहीं. दिस इज कंफर्म्ड बाय हुम? यूरोपियंस. अगर ये कोई नेशनलिस्ट हिस्टोरियन लिखता तो हम ये मान लेते कि बढ़ा चढ़ा के बता रहा होगा, that he might be exaggerating, but it's not like that. This is confirmed by the travelers. For example, Francois Bernier. Bernier name you must have heard. ठीक है. So Bernier writes this. What Bernier writes? इतना important statement है, लेकिन ये पूरा statement नहीं लिखना है. You will highlight this part only. And what is the statement? I am reading it. Statement is the rich exuberance of the country, together with the beauty and amiable disposition of the native women, has given rise to a proverb in the common use among the Portuguese, English, Dutch, that the kingdom of Bengal has 100 gates open for entrance, but not one for departure. This will make the entire sense clear. बाकी तो चतुर रामालिंगम की लैंग्वेज में लिख दिया इसने. Okay, that about Bengal, what has written? What has been written? Kingdom of Bengal has 100 gates open. ठीक है, 100 gates open for entrance, but not one for departure. अच्छा एक बात बताओ, किसी प्लीजेंट जगह पे आप जाते हो, ठीक है, जहाँ पे मौसम बहुत अच्छा हो, ठीक है, खाने पीने का बढ़िया इंतजाम हो, आपके सारे दोस्त वहाँ हो, वहाँ जाने के बाद आपकी लौटने की इच्छा करती है क्या? घर आने की इच्छा करती है क्या? बताओ. डू यू लाइक टू कम बैक होम? ठीक है, नहीं. दोस्तों के साथ अगर आप अपने कॉलेज के हॉस्टल में पहुंच गए और 10-20 दोस्त इकट्ठा हो गए, तो फिर 100 गेट्स ओपन फॉर एंट्रेंस बट नॉट ओपन फॉर डिपार्चर. इट मीन्स दैट ऑल यूरोपियन ग्रुप शेयर द कॉमन आइडिया कि इंडिया में जा रहे हैं, 100 गेट्स ओपन टू गो टू इंडिया. इट मीन्स लुकिंग एट द इकोनॉमिक प्रॉस्पेरिटी इन इंडिया, ओके, no any other European group was willing to return from India. It shows what? That the level of economic prosperity was very high. आना चाहते थे, जाना कोई नहीं चाहता था हिंदुस्तान से. और कॉलोनियल हिस्टोरियंस क्या लिखते? 18th सेंचुरी क्या था? डार्क एजेस था. भैया डार्क एजेस में आके तो तुरंत आदमी भाग जाने की कोशिश करेगा. यहाँ आना सब चाहते थे, जाना कोई नहीं चाहता था. और ये बात कोई नेशनलिस्ट हिस्टोरियन नहीं लिख रहा है, ये बात कौन लिख रहा है? बर्नियर लिख रहा है. Is it clear? Now, Frederick, Rolf Fitch, okay, and Borre and Tavernier also share the same opinion. सबका यही मानना है. All those travelers who came this during this period, all they confirm this fact that it was an economic prosperity, it was center of economic prosperity. और तो और क्लाइव भैया का भी ओपिनियन देख लो. What Clive says? Clive says that Clive described the capital of Bengal as being as rich as लंदन. यहां से तो सारा पैसा लेके गया था, टिकट खरीद लिया जाके. बंगाल वॉज एज रिच एज लंदन. ये अपने क्लाइव भैया का ओपिनियन है. नाउ आफ्टर 20 years अ मर्चेंट राइट्स, ये एक मर्चेंट क्या लिखता है? मर्चेंट इन कलकत्ता राइट्स दैट, डिस्क्राइब्स दैट बंगाल वॉज वन ऑफ द मोस्ट फर्टाइल एंड प्रोडक्टिव किंगडम अंडर द सन. अंडर द सन मतलब थोड़ा बढ़ा चढ़ा के लिख दिया. ठीक है, कि Bengal was one of the most fertile and the productive kingdom. Okay, so now we can easily relate here, we can easily understand here that why Bengal is significant for the British. So what they will do? They will plan a conspiracy and they will do what? ठीक है, सिराजुद्दौला को उलझाएंगे and they will ensure the victory of Palasi. And now the ruler is the puppet ruler. So from here, what happened? The exploitation starts. First phase start. And in this first phase, what will happen? ये बात आप समझ गया ना? From here, the exploitation will start here. 1757, Bengal has came in the control of British. And now what they will do? That's the second story. Okay. Now British established control over Bengal by through these battles, Battle of Plassey, Battle of Buxar. Okay, through these battles, Battle of Plassey, Battle of Buxar. Okay, and now the ruler in Bengal was what? A puppet ruler. Now the ruler in Bengal was a puppet ruler. बंगाल में जो रूलर था वो क्या था? He was a puppet ruler, right? They will also get the right to collect revenues, that is Diwani rights. In which year? The answer is 1765. And Diwani right is what? Administrative rights. If you are given the right to collect land revenue, okay, it means you have got what? Administrative rights. It means now the status of East India Company had been changed. Now the status of East India Company had been changed. It's a trading company and at the same time it's an administrative body. It means now this has become a ruling company. This has become a ruling company. And this is, you can say, the first modern, okay, you can say that first modern corporate who is also ruling a territory. So this is what East India Company in 1757. Now what they will do? Okay. Now after this period, it means this phase we were discussing 1757 to 1813. So here the picture of exploitation is mainly related to which province? So the answer is Bengal province. Here this entire exploitation picture is related to which province? So the answer is Bengal province. So what they will try to do? वो क्या करने की कोशिश करेंगे बंगाल में? Okay, so they will try to do what? Right, point one. They will try to develop monopolistic control over market. They will try to develop monopolistic control over market. Okay, they will try to develop monopolistic control over market. That is the very first point, that they will try to develop monopolistic control over market by keeping the other European merchants out. So that is the second important point, that by keeping the other European merchants out. ठीक है? By keeping the other European merchants out, they will try to develop monopolistic control over market by keeping the other European merchants out. ठीक है? दूसरों को बाहर कर दिया. Okay. Ruler is a puppet ruler. So what they are doing? Okay. They are enjoying unrestricted trade and commerce in Bengal. और जब आपको कोई रोकने वाला नहीं होगा, so you can easily maximize your profit. You can easily maximize your gain. So now in Bengal, they were also enjoying the privilege of doing unrestricted trade and commerce, right? Unrestricted trade and commerce. They were also enjoying the privilege of doing unrestricted trade and commerce. उनको कोई रोकने वाला नहीं था. It means they will do what? They can, their focus will be on cheaper, buying cheaper and selling their goods dearer. Selling their goods dearer. ठीक है? They will buy the goods at cheaper prices and they will sell their goods at the costlier prices, dearer prices. Which goods they will purchase from India? They will buy their goods at cheaper prices. They will fix their prices. Okay. They will buy the goods at the cheaper prices at, you can say that, the rates that is decided by them. What they will buy? What they will buy? Main thing here is what? Raw material plus anything that they can sell in between. Raw material they will purchase. And what they will sell? So they will sell their manufactured textiles, okay, that were produced in industries in Britain. तो अपने manufactured goods को sell करना, right? Raw materials को purchase करना. This will be the focus now, right? They will purchase raw materials and they will sell their manufactured goods. Raw material purchase करना and manufactured goods को sell करना. This will be their focus. It means gradually they will do what? Gradually they will do what? Okay. They will transform the economy of Bengal. धीरे धीरे पूरे बंगाल की इकोनॉमी को ही क्या कर देंगे? ट्रांसफॉर्म कर देंगे, राइट? दिस gradually EIC did what? It transformed the economy of Bengal. It transformed the economy of Bengal. Gradually, EIC did what? It transformed the economy of Bengal and later the economy of India as a whole. पहले तो बंगाल की इकोनॉमी को चेंज करेंगे और बाद में चल के पूरे इंडिया की इकोनॉमी को के नेचर को भी बदल देंगे. दे विल ट्रांसफॉर्म द नेचर ऑफ इकोनॉमी ऑफ बंगाल एंड राइट दिस लेटर इंडिया टू. India too. Okay, later India too. What they will do? Okay, previously India was one of the large exporters of the world, and European markets were flooded with Indian manufactured goods. Now what is happening? Now India has emerged as one of the largest exporter of raw materials and importer of manufactured goods. ये कर दिया. Now India, read this. Now India emerged as largest exporter of raw materials, and largest importer of manufactured goods. Now the nature of Indian economy has changed. You are the largest exporter of raw materials and you are the largest importer of manufactured goods. Largest exporter of raw materials and largest importer of manufactured goods. Have you got the idea? Nature of Indian economy has changed. Now tell me one thing. What will happen? What about BOT, surplus or deficit? So this will be what? BOT deficit. When imports are greater than exports, so this is what? Loss. Okay. Now, if we are exporting manufactured goods more, what does it mean? Does it mean that the self-sufficient nature of Indian economy has destroyed? Previously हम अपनी ज़रूरतों को पूरा करने में capable थे. इंडियन लोगों को जो ज़रूरत थी वो खुद फुलफिल कर लेते थे. Now that for example, today villages are self-sufficient in nature. Indian villages, the people produce milk, right? The people produce food grains. Indian villages today also they are self-sufficient. So at that time our country was self-sufficient. हम export ज़्यादा करते थे, import कम करते थे. Now since we are the largest importer of manufactured goods, so we can say that the self-sufficient nature of, read this, the self-sufficient nature of Indian economy was lost as a result. Indian economy was lost as a result. The self-sufficient nature of Indian economy was lost as a result. ठीक है, हिंदुस्तान की जो सेल्फ सफिशिएंट इकोनॉमी थी वो क्या हो गई? लॉस्ट हो गई. अब हम अपनी जरूरतों के लिए किस पे निर्भर थे? किस पे डिपेंडेंट थे? ब्रिटिश पे. और इन सब में सबसे मजेदार कहानी क्या है कि 1765 ब्रिटिश गॉट द राइट टू कलेक्ट रेवेन्यू. British got the right to collect revenues from India, and this is called Diwani right. And they did what? They collected revenues from India and they did what? Misappropriation of this revenue. यानी पैसा जहां खर्च करना है वहां नहीं खर्च करके कहीं और खर्च कर. Okay, they diverted. For example, if we are paying taxes, revenues to the government, so the government has spent it on the development works. ठीक है, क्या डेवलपमेंट का काम होगा उस पर खर्च करेगी. हियर व्हाट ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी इज डूइंग? कलेक्टिंग रेवेन्यू एंड राइट दिस, डूइंग व्हाट? मिसअप्रोप्रिएशन ऑफ रेवेन्यू. EIC was doing what? Misappropriation of revenue. EIC was doing misappropriation of revenue. रेवेन्यू का क्या कर रही थी? मिसअप्रोप्रिएशन कर रही थी. कहाँ खर्च कर रही थी बताओ? It has diverted its revenue where? Exactly. पहला फर्स्ट इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट लिखो, इन्वेस्टमेंट. दिस टर्म इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. इन्वेस्टमेंट्स. इन्वेस्टमेंट. व्हाट इज इन्वेस्टमेंट? तो देखो कितने होशियार थे. दे डिड व्हाट? दे परचेज्ड रॉ मटेरियल्स फ्रॉम इंडिया विद द रेवेन्यूज दैट दे कलेक्टेड फ्रॉम इंडिया. हमारे ही पैसे से हमारा ही रॉ मटेरियल खरीद लिया एंड दे नेम्ड इट इन्वेस्टमेंट. बेसिकली दे आर गेटिंग रॉ मटेरियल्स फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट. फ्री में मिल रहा है उनको. सो राइट दिस, व्हाट इज इन्वेस्टमेंट? राइट दिस. ओके, EIC officials purchased raw materials from India. AIC officials purchased raw material from India. AIC officials purchased raw materials from India from the revenues that they collected from India. AIC officials purchased raw materials from India from the revenue that they collected from India. Okay? They purchased raw materials from India from the revenues that they collected from India. Clear? इंडिया से रॉ मटेरियल परचेज किया, उस रेवेन्यू से जो वो इंडिया से कलेक्ट कर रहे थे. इट मींस दे वर गेटिंग रॉ मटेरियल्स व्हाट, फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट. फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट. फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट. इसका लॉन्ग टर्म इंपैक्ट क्या होगा बताओ? इकोनॉमी तो डिस्ट्रॉय होगी, गरीबी बढ़ेगी. एंड हाउ स्मार्टली दे आर यूजिंग द वर्ड इन्वेस्टमेंट. व्हेन colonial historians will write history, they will use this word investment. And have you noticed this? The British write English factories. Was it factory? Was it factory? No. It was storehouses, warehouses, godowns. They were naming it factory. And what is investment here? They are naming this investment. This is what colonial propaganda, to distort the facts of the history. मेरी बात समझ गया ना? So we have to be very alert while the interpretation of the history. And where else they are spending? और कहाँ खर्च कर रहे हैं? So they are financing wars with the local rulers with this revenue. हमारे ही पैसे से हमारे ही देश के राजाओं के साथ लड़ रहे हैं, उनके राज्य को हड़प रहे हैं. They are financing wars with the local rulers with the help of this revenue. With the help of revenue, they fought wars with the local rulers. इस रेवेन्यू से लोकल रूलर्स के साथ वॉर्स भी फाइट किया. ठीक है? These are some simple examples. Now tell me that what they are doing in Bengal, is it giving benefits or providing benefits to the British economy or not? So write this, that okay, the developments in Bengal and the economic policies that were introduced in Bengal, write this point, the developments in Bengal and the economic policies, the developments in Bengal and the economic policies that were introduced in Bengal, the developments in Bengal and the economic policies that were introduced in Bengal were providing benefits to the British economy, were providing benefits to the British economy. So we can say that we're providing benefits to the British economy. So we can say that, so we can say that, so we can say that the process of, so we can say that the process of subjugation, the process of subjugation of, so we can say that the process of subjugation of Indian economy, the process of subjugation of Indian economy under British economy has been started. The process of subjugation of Indian economy under British economy has been started. The process of subjugation of Indian economy under British economy has been started. Okay? And this is what? Beginning of process of economic exploitation in India. Right? This was the beginning of process of economic exploitation in India. This was the beginning of process of economic exploitation in India. This was the beginning of process of economic exploitation in India. Is this part clear? In initial phase, that is 1757 to 1813, how Indian economy, okay, was subjugated under British economy, how this process of economic exploitation started, okay, how Indian economy was used as a medium to fulfill the benefits of the British industrial needs. Can we relate these things? That the initial political victories of East India Company in India Battle of Palasi, Battle of Buxar, Treaty of Allahabad were simultaneous with the Industrial Revolution in Britain. Okay, and a link is established here. So we cannot give clean chit to the British government. British government cannot deny its responsibility. Okay, when we will have sufficient example of corporate corruption and corporate violence done by East India Company in India, British government cannot deny its responsibility because there was a clear link between the East India Company and the metropole. Clear link tha. Now, we will discuss the second part again relating to the first phase. दूसरा क्या है? Write this: land revenue policies. Land revenue policy. Land revenue policies that were introduced by British in India. That were introduced by British in India. Land revenue policies that were introduced by British in India. This we need to discuss. Land revenue policy that was introduced by British in India. So देखो, there are so many topics here that are important for prelims. What I am going to discuss with you is one of the most important topic for your prelims exam. And the topics that we need to understand here, first I will draw an outline and then we will enter into the topics. जिससे idea रहे, so you will be able to connect the themes here. So for example, draw this timeline. 1765, that is TOA, Treaty of Allahabad. Here what we know, that EIC got Diwani rights. EIC got Diwani rights. And what is Diwani rights? This is the right to collect land revenue from Bengal, Bihar and Odisha. Bengal, Bihar and Odisha region. You will draw this chart, okay? Then we'll enter into the topic because it will be helpful for your revision. Okay, 1765. This is the first topic that we need to correlate. Okay. Now, the second part is what? Read this: dual system of administration or governance in Bengal region. Dual system of administration or governance in Bengal region. And what is the time period? 1765 to 1772. Okay, dual system of governance. It continued for a period of 7 years. It continued for a period of 7 years. This was started by Clive and ended by Warren Hastings. There are two Hastings. One is Warren Hastings and the second is Lord Hastings. So this is Warren Hastings. 7 years. Okay, dual system of administration. It means here, who is collecting revenue? EIC is collecting revenue. EIC is collecting revenue. Revenue कौन collect कर रहा है? East India Company is collecting revenue. Okay, got it? With the help of Deputy Diwan or Nayab Diwan. East India Company was collecting revenue with the help of Deputy Diwan or Nayab Diwan. EIC was collecting revenue with the help of Deputy Diwan or Nayab Diwan. Okay? And this phase is known for what? Misgovernance, corruption. और जब क्लाइव को लोग क्या कहते हैं कि द लॉर्ड वल्चर, इन विच सेंस दे से कि क्लाइव ने क्या किया? करप्शन को प्रमोट किया. मेरी बात समझ गया ना? So this entire phase of 7 years, right, this is known for, this entire phase is known, 7 years is known for misgovernance. It is known for corruption. This entire phase of 7 years is known for misgovernance. It is known for corruption. ये misgovernance के लिए जाना जाता है. It's known for corruption. It's known for corporate violence. It's known for corporate violence. Corporate violence के लिए जाना जाता है. And here basically the company administer and the administration of company was highly criticized not only in India but also in Britain. Clear? So what we see here, that here कंपनी एडमिनिस्टर्ड, कंपनी ने क्या किया, कंपनी एडमिनिस्टर्ड, बट दिस एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ऑफ कंपनी was highly criticized not only in India, highly criticized not only in India but also in Britain. ठीक है ना, this administration was highly criticized not only in India, okay, but also in Britain, highly criticized. इंग्लैंड में भी लोगों ने, जो कंपनी के क्रिटिक्स थे, those were the critics of company, they did what, they criticized द कंपनीज रूल इन इंडिया, कि देखो क्या बुरा प्रभाव हो सकता है अगर आप एक ट्रेडिंग कंपनी को एडमिनिस्टर करने का राइट दे दोगे. So when the pressure was mounted on the British government will send Warren Hastings, and Warren Hastings will come when